Hey gamers, Maniac here with GameAccess.net. I know a lot of you guys have been talking about my pre-order stories, and this is one that was heavily requested on the last video, one of the last videos I did about Metal Gear Solid 3. Everybody asked for a follow-up about what happened with my pre-order story for Metal Gear Solid 4, so I'm going to tell you guys Metal Gear Solid 4's pre-order story. At around the same time that Konami was publishing the hype train for Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence's release for the PlayStation 2, Konami was just starting to get footage out there for the next Metal Gear game, Metal Gear Solid 4. Now, for someone like me who was a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, had played Metal Gear Solid 1 and loved every second of it, played Metal Gear Solid 2 and loved every second of it, played Metal Gear Solid 3 and loved every second of it, was going to be picking up a copy of Subsistence, I was crazy looking forward to another game for Metal Gear Solid in the Metal Gear Solid series, particularly one that was going to continue the story from Metal Gear Solid 2. This was a big deal. So the initial trailer came out, I believe it was TGS 2005. The very first trailer came out, and of all things, standard definition, because this was just before we did the transition to high definition video for web distribution and stuff. And everyone went crazy because it looked better than any game that we had seen on a console up until that point. I think a lot of people, it kind of reminded me of when we first saw the first trailer for Metal Gear Solid 2 all the way back in the E3 2000. And everyone looked at it and said, that looks too good to be the game. And everyone said, no, that is the game. That's gameplay, that's the game. And nobody believed them until the demo came out and everybody was like, oh my god, this looks so good. People thought it might have been pre-rendered, and it wasn't. It looked incredible. They were like, the PS3 was not out yet at that time, but when Konami, Kojima, everybody assured, no, this is what the PS3 can do. This is what we're going to have. And it's going to look even better in high definition, I'm sure, is what they said. Flash forward a little bit. More trailers come out. A year or so later, the first trailer comes out in high definition. I think it was either E3 2006's trailer, or it might have been TGS 2006's, but those trailers were in high definition, and everyone went berserk over them. Because here I am asking questions like, are we going to see Otacon come back? Are we going to see Raiden come back? What happened with Raiden? What's happening with Snake? Is this fox dye that's causing him to age, or is this a side effect of the cloning process? And everyone just sat with their mouths. It looked so good. It was going to be picking up those story from Metal Gear Solid 2. Maybe it was going to resolve what was happening between Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear and the rest of the Metal Gear series. Who knows? But we were all pumped. And I remember in 2007, I went to E4. Now, a lot of people are asking yourself, what the heck, E4? Don't you mean E3? There was no E3 2007. And I know what you're saying, but you just said there was an E3 2007 videos. Yeah, there were E3 2007 videos, but there was no actual E3 2007, nor was there actually an E3 2008. There was no expo for those shows. Everything that you saw of those times were trade events, were from the press events that were released to the internet. E3 didn't come back until 2009, and obviously it's not happening this year, but that's because of a completely different reason. So there was another organization that stepped in. I don't know who was running it. I can't remember off the top of my head. They were called the E4All organization, otherwise known as E4, or I called them E4 for short, and I'll still refer to them as E4. And what they were about is that their intention was to run their own game their own game expo, but they were going to, and it was going to be in the same place that E3 happened, since obviously that venue was now available. But it was going to allow gamers into it. You could pay for tickets just like you could for PAX or something. Whereas at that time, E3 was closed to the public. You could not get in at all unless you were a member of the press, and you had to be accepted into the event itself. And that's why I've only gone to E3 as many times as I have, is because while I have been a member of the press since at least I was 16 or 17 years old, I've only had credentials that were accepted for those events for, I guess you would say, the times that I've actually gone. But Metal Gear Solid 4 was going to have a playable demo on the E4All show floor that year, 2007. And I remember buying my ticket, buying a plane ticket. My friend, the unknown camera person, was coming with me. My father was coming with me, although his intention was to visit the rest of the, Los Angeles and stuff. So I've been told he had a good time. And yeah, my intention is to get footage or play Metal Gear Solid 4. The game was still a year away from release. And I think I remember Ryan Payton there, who's now at Camouflage and working on Iron Man VR, and thinking to myself, this looks incredible. But we only had like maybe 10 to 20 minutes to actually do a demo, and there was a very long cutscene before. We got to demo one of the early scenes in the game just when you meet the Otacon's mini Metal Gear for the first time, the Metal Gear Mark II, I think they called it. From that scene until, in Act 1, we got to demo that. And as far as I know, it hasn't changed any until, it hasn't changed. They give us a full run through on how how the Acto camo worked. And we got to mess around with that. That was pretty fun. And they only covered 1/4, I would say, essentially 1/2 of one expo floor at E4All. I still felt like I got my money's worth. I had demoing that. There was plenty of space to do it, That was a great experience. So I come back and I'm like, I'm ready to get my pre-order down. What's available for the pre-orders this time around? And at that time, for those of you who might remember my Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence pre-order stories, you remember that I got, or that people who pre-ordered the game immediately got a DVD called Metal Gear Saga Volume 1. This is Metal Gear Saga Volume 2. This was included for anybody that placed an early pre-order for Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. This also included not just the DVD, but also early access to Metal Gear Online, which was the online component for the PlayStation 3 for the Metal Gear campaign. Obviously, that series has since been discontinued, but Konami was really pushing it at the time. This is like a squad-based way with stealth, team versus team stealth action. Pretty exciting multiplayer stuff. Kind of revolutionary at the time. And so that got a lot of promise, but obviously those servers were discontinued around the time they patched Metal Gear 4 to version 2.0, but that's a story for another time. We won't get into that. I have not watched this DVD. I am not going to watch this DVD. Why? I don't want to risk damaging this DVD. This DVD, as far as I'm concerned, is a collector's item. The only reason why this box was opened is because I had to open this container just so that I could get access to the Metal Gear Online codes. They let me use razor blade, so this is actually, I didn't damage anything, so, this is in perfect condition. So I got to open it. Basically, they said, it was over at the store, they told me, look, we're having trouble with these download codes. We want to make sure that the download codes are all available. This was a factory sealed copy when I picked it up at the store. Please open it here so we can ensure that you have a working code, so that in case you don't have a working code, we can exchange this and get you another DVD that has a code. That was really nice of them. They didn't have to do that. But yeah, this was available. As a person who really wanted Metal Gear Saga Volume 1, to have Volume 2 was a big deal. And as far as I know, this doesn't fetch as high a price on Amazon for copies as Metal Gear Saga Volume 1 does. But I think it's because a lot of people don't know that this actually exists. But this does exist, and there was a Volume 2. As far as I know, there was never a Volume 3 or anything. If there was, post a comment, but I probably won't believe you. But I've kept up with this, and I don't remember a Volume 3. But needless to say, this was not the only thing that was available for pre-order. Now we're going to show you guys what you actually came here to see. This art book was included when I received my copy of the Metal Gear Solid 4 Limited Edition, which you can see right here. I also received this beautiful, glossy high quality art book. And as somebody that was a huge collector of art, this was a very big deal. Because at that time, it was very rare for games to get any type of art book. And Metal Gear had the most beautiful art assets as to any of the games that were currently available on the market. It was a big deal to see this, to receive this, and for free nonetheless. I was so happy to be given this. A little backstory for all the development, but that's not actually the coolest thing that you guys want to see, actually. I think the coolest thing that a lot of you guys want to see is if any of you remember the Beauty and the Beast campaign, and you would have thought, wow, those characters that play up the Beauty and the Beast campaign, they're really beautiful, and like, stop fantasizing about them, they're not real. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. They actually are real. Their likenesses were actually based on actual real supermodels. These are real supermodels made up of the Beauty and the Beast team. They're real, and they really are as beautiful as they look in the game. So I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to know that that these women do actually, in fact, exist. Needless to say, for anybody that might have been interested in any other copy of Metal Gear Solid 4, obviously there's the regular edition of it that came out at that time. There was the limited edition, which included a Blu-ray that included 2 documentaries, an external documentary and an internal documentary. The external documentary, I think, went 2 hours in length, which was mostly just one made for promotion. But the internal documentary, which only went 40 minutes in length, which showed the final days of Metal Gear Solid 4's development up until it went Gold Master, was incredible to watch. Just utterly incredible to watch. I was on, that was probably one of the best gaming documentaries. Not the best. I would say that the best gaming documentary that was ever produced was probably the documentary that was included on the Halo 2 behind the scenes, Halo 2 limited edition DVD. That was probably the best documentary that was ever produced. But I would say that the second best gaming documentary ever produced was the one that was included on the Blu-ray, the internal documentary for Metal Gear Solid 4 limited edition. So please keep that in mind. As for other stuff that you guys might be interested in, there were 2 PlayStation 3 customs that were released that were bundled with Metal Gear Solid 4. There was a Japanese version and there was an American version. I think the Japanese version was online only. The American version was sold pretty much anywhere, including Walmart. The thing about the American version of it that was sold at Walmart is it was just simply a PlayStation 4 80 gig PlayStation 4. That had a regular copy of Metal Gear Solid 4 included with it. There was nothing, as far as I know, there was nothing crazy special about it. The online version of it, however, came in a custom color, the gunmetal color. So if you see any gunmetal color PlayStation 4s, that's in the Metal Gear Solid 4 one. And that included this. And it included this on disc. There was no DLC that was included. There didn't need to be any DLC. All the premium stuff was all on that Blu-ray, and it was worth every freaking penny. To this day, I'd like to see this game get remastered for like the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, whatever. It was never brought to any of the Xbox consoles. It might have an exclusivity contract with Sony, but heck, I'd play it on the PlayStation 5 in a heartbeat. You wouldn't need to do anything to it other than just adjust the code for the PlayStation 5 processor. The game graphics still hold up even to this day. So that's Metal Gear Solid 4. Hopefully the people that requested it were happy with this story. I got at least one more of these pre-order stories coming. So until next time, guys, my name is Maniac with GamingSuccess.net. Take care. Over and out.